Right?
Oh, Grant,
This
can
is
you
voting.
lead us in pledge of allegiance real quick?
Let's see how it
Ready?
Yeah.
We have a pledge of
I
allegiance.
think that on to-
Everybody said it.
Come on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll call the regular council meeting to order for March 23, 2026. We'll have a roll call of the city council.
Montague,
Present.
Gearhart,
Here.
Tiltis, Winklehorst, Van Wert,
Here.
all present.
Very good, and then we'll have the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Right. Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
We need the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Joe, Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Okay, then it's time to open another public hearing on the budget amendment for the 2025-26 fiscal year. Open at 7 p.m. And again, the public will be given opportunity to discuss or ask questions about the budget amendment.
Do you have any written obligations, Lisa? Not obligations, written.
Information.
That word.
I was like, okay.
Information,
no.
is that what you said?
It's been a long time.
I can kind of go through if you'd like and tell you what the budget amendment includes. So, under police, we have some capital outlay for $24,500. Fire, we're adding the LoSAP program, so, this is something new that we hadn't budgeted for. Mainly, casino grant projects throughout, but I'll read them off to you. Casino grant project under public safety for $51,210, and those are two grants that the fire department received. Then under culture and recreation, parks, there was a casino grant project for $61,000. That is the pickleball court. The Chambers grant runs through the city. Community center, there's some building repair and maintenance. That is an estimate for replacing the cement on the back side of the building. And casino grant project 4,500 at the community center. That's for tables. That goes through chamber as well. Under local option sales tax, there was a transfer that was planned, but we don't need that, so that's being taken out. Then under sewer, there was some repairs that we're doing with the valve replacement at the lagoon. And under electric, line rehabilitation, we added some $25,000 for that, just because there were supplies that needed to be ordered for some rural distribution line improvements, and then purchase power, $475,000. We did not generate this year, so this winter. So that's pretty much the gist of the amendment.
Any questions on that or comments? If none, we'll close that portion of that hearing. And then we have number 6, we have the resolution of the city council to adopt the budget amendment for the 25-26 fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Joe and Brooke. then number 7, we have, oh, go ahead, Linda. Joe,
Yes.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
All right, that'll finish that, number 6. Number 7, then we have a public hearing will need to be held to adopt the 26-27 fiscal year budget. And that has been established for, April 13th at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Joe.
Second.
Grant. Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
All right, moving along to number 8. We have the equipment breakdown coverage, the CNA, and that was, I notice in here that it says, it was stated that almost all current NIMECA members carry this policy, and then 90% of municipalities would be picking up this coverage, so, if anybody has any comment on that, Joe?
Well, this is a different company than previous years. Cincinnati used to be the carrier, and, they got out of the business, I guess, but they were a little hard to work with, I think, from what the rest of the guys at NIMECA said, that, and their premiums were higher, and, actually Algona participates, Milford, Spencer dropped out a couple years ago out of this program with Cincinnati, but they're going back in, and, yeah, most, Coon Rapids has it, so, I'm inclined to think that we should have it, I guess. It's for that bad deal that happens, you know, it is a $10,000 premium, but it covers several million if we have engine, and talking with the other guys, they at NIMECA, they certainly would recommend it, and Greg Fritz, our guy, recommends it. And I guess that'd be my recommendation, to go ahead with it.
I was actually looking at that a little bit in the packet there, and yeah, it's pretty expensive. I mean, they had a list of examples of things that went wrong, what they've covered, and it was in the thousands of dollars. So
Hey, you start messing with them engines and substations, and, I mean, yeah, it's,
quite a bit of money in a hurry.
so I guess I would move that we add this to our coverage.
Does that cover when somebody drives through our substation?
Well, hopefully their insurance would cover that.
That happened once. Back.
That's been before I was on the council.
That just happened to,
Almost before you were born.
that just
I will
happened
be
over
40 this year.
Okay.
east
It's not that
somewhere,
We were like
out in
10.
the country, some trucker drove through
Yeah.
a substation of Corn Belts about 3 years ago, and it was like several $1 million. I don't know how they turned out on it, but, yeah, that happens. So,
Cover for when their insurance quits, probably.
You made a
I made a
motion.
motion, I
I'll
believe.
second that we
Okay,
add this coverage.
Joe and Brooke. So, Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
and Grant.
Yes.
And then we move on to the urban renewal area. And I'm not familiar with that at all.
So you have a copy of the code in your packet there for the 2005 edition to the West Bend Urban Renewal Area. So this is the area that's east of Highway 15, but it kind of starts where the fire station was built, and that's kind of when we put this in, and then extends down to the railroad tracks. And I do know that economic development is looking at possibly doing a project in that area, and this addition, they set it up now, the state has sunset clauses now, so that, whatever year you started collecting, you only have 20 years with it in that district. You can amend and add it again, which is what I'm asking you if you want to do. Thinking that possibly there could be a project out there. It's not 100% for sure though. And it is a little expensive to have our bonding attorney draw up the documents to do it, so, just keep that in mind.
What is the cost? to
And
pay the
it's,
attorney to do it?
it's usually over $5,000.
And if we don't continue to include it,
Then if
Yes.
economic development needs assistance with this project, we won't be able to utilize TIF
Right.
to help with it, which we've kind of been doing in the past. That's what spurs most of all of our economic development projects.
and how far east does this go?
It goes to the edge of the industrial park.
So like behind where the John Deere shed is,
Mm-hmm,
to the east, and then south to the railroad tracks.
mm-hmm.
Okay, just so I was, had it correct in my head.
But we've done some good things with our TIF streets in the past. I would say, want to continue.
So you need a motion to continue to include this? What exactly do you need from us?
I just want a consensus that you would like me to start working on this, to put it back in.
That would be my opinion.
Mine too, same.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start working on that then in the next few weeks.
All right, that takes care of that one. We now make it to number 10, and I'm gonna, I will say there was just to keep things in, again, just, I'm not sure how to phrase this, if we're calling it reorganization, or after our public meeting last Wednesday evening, and I'll just say that the visitors that are here tonight, we probably won't take a lot of public comment. You know, there was nobody was on the docket to speak this evening, and so I'm gonna respect that. But I'm just gonna throw out to you, I guess, and I guess what my thought is. Like I said, I don't know if I'll call it, to me, it was pretty plain. We had about 100 people, anybody count for sure last week, Lisa?
We had 100 chairs set up, so
Yeah, so
it was probably
I'm
close.
guessing, yeah, which I was glad to see the group. And to me, it was a good discussion. I think the message was plain. It was to me. You know, the community, you know, was, to me, asking for a different direction. You know, so I'm just gonna, and I'm just gonna throw I put a few thoughts down. I guess I would ask the council then, and I'm not sure, like in the next council meeting, if we'll have some things on, you know, that we need to vote on, you know, what direction we're gonna go. We have gotten a couple of opinions, you know, from other places but at this point, I don't know if we wanna go get any opinions, if they're necessary at this point, depending on, you know, which way we decide to go with this. If it does, I do have that letter from the DNR, and to me, for my own self personally, I guess I need to, you know, real clear, you know, from the DNR in a stated letter, you know, what we can do, what we can't do, and, you know, how to get, you know, to that. And I'll make some more phone calls after today, you know, to try to get that direction, and so I guess, you know, one of the questions is how to move forward from here with that subject. And then And obviously ISG, somewhere along the line, my understanding is probably, maybe from what figures I've heard is, I think they used the figure one time, if I remember right, a while back, they were 30 to 60% into this design. So I'm gonna call it 50%, so as it's that far along, so the question, do we need to meet with them? Have them come speak to us to see, if we in fact hold the project up to try the lagoons. I visited with Trevor just this morning, and he said we're gonna get, if it were to stay just as it is right now, he would get 2 tests at least, before the project even got, to see if.
I was gonna make a comment if I could,
Yeah,
'cause
go
a
ahead.
lot of people have been asking me about that. And I think 2 to 3 cycles of lagoons will happen if we do nothing other than continue on the way we are.
Right.
So that would give us a fair opportunity to see where they're at.
Yeah.
People keep asking me about it, and I guess maybe we weren't making it clear that we were fixing the lagoons and that
Yeah.
there will be some time in there to see if they're gonna work.
And that's because, and that's another thing that's, as far as, the valves, at one time, when I discussed it with Lisa a little bit, we went back through the minutes, and we probably do not need another, council vote per se to put them valves in, they could probably just go, and I think, is that the consensus that we have, that we just,
Well, I think we're all right on that.
You approve the purchase and,
Right.
and you
So-
approve the contractor to put them in.
we don't need action on that, they're just.
Yeah, I think we just said we wanted to wait to put the last set in, the set of 6,
Yeah.
until after the public meeting.
And
And
Trevor, this morning, he commented to me, he was thought he maybe hear some more on them today, whether they're, when they're coming in for sure. He still doesn't have, they're not all here. And he indicated to me it would be best to draw it down some. Now, when did he do that? In April? I don't even know. Whenever he does, and he's supposed to, I get all my times mixed up.
I'm sorry to interject.
Yeah.
Someone asked me, do we normally discharge in April?
April, May,
Okay.
or first
Yeah.
part of June.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought it was, early spring, but I didn't
Yeah,
have
there's
the
a
correct
spring and
answers.
then there's a fall.
Yep.
Yep.
So I think I got the right Tom, but it was Tom Atkinson that was here last week. Trevor said he's coming next week to help him with the process to, go over the lagoons, and he's supposed to give him some advice, I guess, and, as far as opera, I don't know what that, Trevor just said he's coming next week to talk to him. So that's good, so the valves are just, we'll just go, Trevor, however that all's gonna be set up. And then another thing I guess we consider, I guess we'll have to talk about is if it's gonna go on hold. I've been hearing the lift station's probably gonna need some attention, sooner or later, and I guess myself, I don't know what the time limit is on that, or how much time they're guessing we have to do that, so that might be another thing we'll have to figure out somewhere along the line, if it's gonna go a little longer than we thought, maybe, does the lift station have to go, but, so I said, whatever you think, if we just have to meet with ISG sometime, or have them come and explain where the project is, can it be put on hold, or, or sorry, say if it stops where it is 50%, when can they pick it up again somewhere? Go
Well,
ahead.
that might be more of a, reading your email back from the DNR gentleman, it would almost appear to me like if we do the valves, or when we do them, we have that process, but we should have a plan going forward yet. What I kinda read into that, if that doesn't work, where are you at?
Mhm.
We don't wanna start over on a design thing at that
Right.
point,
No, I would agree with that.
And I think we still need to continue to monitor industries and flows and loads, as
Right.
part of the whole project, so that we're moving that along, so, and I think we're doing that with ISG, and they're working with the industries, I think, I think we need to formulate a plan with that, and maybe Tom Atkins can help us with that. when he's here, you know, if we're gonna replace the valves and we're gonna try this, and we're gonna try to get 3 discharges or whatever. You know, okay, what's the plan though,
Right.
going forward, cause you know, what we have ISG engaged for right now is, you know, lift station, monitoring loads and flows and so on, so I think the way I read that, what I think is that we need to submit something along those lines to the DNR and say, okay, that's okay, you know, continue on with that, or see what their reply at that point is, you know, cause they make the final decision,
they're in control.
on that, I mean, they're in control.
Yeah.
It sounded like if we were doing that, we could possibly qualify for an extension, possibly.
Possibly, we've had one, so who knows? But I think we better have,
And talking with him, this Ben,
yeah,
okay, yeah, he wrote in the letter, and he couldn't till he saw some more numbers and stuff like you're saying, he couldn't say, but he said 12 months, possibly a year, so that would get us to 30, you know.
yeah, well, from now or from 29, I mean,
Well, I took him, I gotta revisit with him again, you know, I waited till after tonight to call him just to see, you know.
well, that'd be some of my question, you know, are you talking a year from now or 2 years from now, or are you talking?
So to go to 30 instead of 29.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cause that makes a big difference, you know, how much time we got.
You know, we're gonna wanna have all that clarified, I think, before.
And that's what we need to find out, you know, so
Yeah.
next, so I guess I would just ask, you know, next, if somebody thinks it's, you know, some kind of idea what we should do going forward, if we need to have something on the next agenda, if we have to take a vote of some kind, and I guess I don't know what that is, if, at this point, if we even have to, but I guess to me, it's just, we need to have the thought process.
Do you think Tom is coming next week?
I'll just, for Trevor, he must have something worked out with Trevor.
I thought they had something scheduled, that Tom was doing some wastewater
I
treatment.
think it is scheduled for
Training.
Trevor, yeah.
You know, they're,
Trevor just told me he's supposed to get together with me.
Training or
are
something.
they not working on the one lift station also, or, I don't know if it's him,
I guess my vote would be that we talk to ISG about focusing their project design at this point on the lift station. Talk to them about what the cost estimate would be if we move to discharging into the West Fork instead of the creek. Get a better cost estimate from them on that. And then maybe we have them, with our direction, submit to the DNR and see if we can get an extension on the 2029 date. If our plan is to fix the valves, all of them, continue to discharge and watch our levels, either going into the creek or going into the West Fork, depending on the cost that would be associated with that. But I do still think we need a backup plan. If this doesn't work, even if they give us a year extension, they're gonna come back and say, okay, now what? You know,
I
and
think
if
we
we're
have to,
out of compliance once, they're gonna say, okay, now what? Like, if our first discharge after changing everything, we're out of compliance, we're dead in the water, unfortunately.
I think we have to have the engineering done.
I mean, I do think it's worth, you know, ISG with our direction saying, okay, we want to amend our plan and this might be what our new plan is. Do we get more time? But we can't just sit, you know, 2 years waiting to see what our
I agree.
discharge levels are, you know. I mean, cause if we have to draw it down, it could be a full 12 months before we can discharge, before we get to levels that we can move. I mean, it could be,
Well, it could.
ultimately.
Well, if it don't rain. yeah, it
Right,
could
I
be.
mean, it could be, so then now you've sat here for a year waiting to be able to discharge and you have no new numbers, you know? And then the DNR says, okay, now what? You know,
Is this the second opinion from this Ben gentleman you're talking to? Because there's a huge discrepancy in DNR personnel as to who you talk to.
absolutely.
And that's what I went upline, he's obviously over our regional, you know, another Tom Roos. Cause the letter I got from him, it went to Tom Roos also. And I don't know, there's some questions I need to talk back to Ben Bouquet again. And hopefully he can give me some more direction and where, you know, and I'm not astute enough in all this whole conversation to say, I don't know what I can't follow what they're talking about as far as what ISG, how to apply for all this stuff. This is all, it's all new to me, so I'm learning as we go, so. So I definitely will talk back to this Ben, and to me, I assume, I guess I'll have to ask him more directly where he comes in the, he was referred to me from another person I talked to earlier in a DNR that he only took care, tell me what we could do with lagoons and how they would work with lagoons, and he recommended this Ben, and he seemed to be, like I said, he didn't, have to think about it all. I said, can you send me that letter? I had it, in the afternoon, so he seems to be somebody that's,
Well, that's what we wanted, was someone totally neutral, since we did away with Vinster and Kim. I'm just
well,
wondering what,
you mean as far as,
as our backup plan with another neutral party,
yeah,
aside from Tom Atkinson, who is directly connected to ISG.
Yeah.
And after our meeting the other night, and a lot of the people I talked to, there's a lot of difference of opinion with the DNR, and if you talk to the right one and they okay this, they'll sign off on it, and no other DNR personnel can touch it. And that's coming from a number of different sources, so we definitely need to keep pursuing that.
but what's, like what sources is that? Where they're getting that from, or?
From the DNR personnel that they work with.
I think the only way we're gonna get an official answer from the DNR is if we resubmit an amended plan to the DNR through ISG. That's the only way we're gonna get it in writing as to whether we get an extension on a different plan or not. I mean, you can talk to 12 different people, but if you don't have a plan written down of this is what we wanna do and this is what we need you to do for us, they're not going to give us a yes, no, that's the only way you're going to get it in writing that you have an actual continued extension on the new plan. It doesn't,
Like I said, this is all new enough to me, so
I,
yeah.
from everybody I talk to, they say, yeah, maybe you'll get an extension, or yeah, if you submit this, but everybody says if you don't have it actually submitted, you're not gonna get that official piece of paper that says, yes, you can try this, this is the added amount of time you have. So I guess as a council, we need to come up with, if we're going to change the plan, what is the new plan? How much time do we need to see if it works? And have them send an amended plan to the DNR and wait for a response. Is that the way,
Sounds good to me.
is that the way you've understood it as well?
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of.
Cause you talk to 4 different people and they say, yep, you should be able to, or no, it won't work. Well, it's all fine and dandy until you get that piece of paper, official paper in your hand that says, yep, we'll give you more time, or no, we won't give you more time, but you can sure try it,
Yeah, and that's actually one question, if I did talk back to Ben again, I would ask him, point blank, is your word the way it is,
Right.
Or I would ask him, can you be overridden,
Right.
Cause like what he said, he thought we could get to 12 months, but he had to see some other numbers, and I talked to Trevor, just cause my knowledge is very lacking in this, I talked to Trevor this morning, and Trevor, he feels we have the lagoons are such, we probably get, we could meet those numbers, whatever he talked about, they didn't mean much to me.
Right.
But they did to Trevor, and he felt, we probably could get there.
I guess moving forward, that's where I would be. Have ISG submit an amended plan with, this is what we wanna try.
Do you want ISG at the next council meeting to tell them what you want to see?
I don't know if
As
we
a
need them at
group,
a council
or-
meeting, or
I think
if the
it's
sewer
going,
committee can just
you can
speak
talk
with
to
them.
them, Andy, and tell them what we're thinking and see if they can submit a plan for us, and then they'll have to draw something up for us, and then we'll have to approve it, I'm gonna guess.
That's what I would think is gonna need council approval.
If
Well,
they're
that's,
coming to.
we probably could meet with them as far as the sewer committee, saying this is the plan we'd like to go with, we'd like you to submit an amended plan to the DNR. They can get it to us and then we can approve it at the
Yeah.
council meeting after that. I don't know that they'd have it ready for the next meeting, but.
Well,
Yeah.
they might.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends how busy Tom is, I don't know.
So does the sewer committee, do you wanna schedule something?
Can I ask another question about
Sure.
that first? So I know you had talked to a couple different engineering firms about trying to get an unbiased second opinion.
Mhm.
Where are you at with that?
Well, we got some numbers back from, this be Stanley Engineering, and, you know, and they're, I'll just brief you, and he had one phase was $15,000, but he's really starting from where ISG did, you know, working his way up there. And they were just proposals, see if we wanted to do it that way. And the other one, he's talking $30,000, so, and as far as I'm concerned, we're probably not gonna spend that much money on the second opinion. And then if I contrast that with Veenstra, they were at 3,800, I think, but I've not, do you know what they were gonna do, Blake, if they came, what their proposal was?
Well, completely redo our whole, scenario and system here with what we have and what we're proposing to do. The thing about, well, we've already been, given an extension. From their viewpoint, what have we done physically at our lagoon in 5 years? Nothing. And now, we're doing that with the valves. We still haven't talked about, Skoglund's and Butterbraid. You know, what are they gonna do? They're in a situation where if they go on their own, we don't need the Sager system and our numbers drop drastically. If we are, then Skoglund has now hired his own engineer, so he's gonna come to the table with what they present. And if we don't have those two helping out with the 6 million, our numbers for the people, the citizens of this community are gonna double. And that's where they're at. And so, you know,
Where do you get that number at? That they're gonna double?
well, if they're gonna be submitted 3 million and they're gonna do their own thing and not pay that, well, then that 3 million has to come from the city. I don't see it any other way. And
I don't know where you're getting the 3 million though.
there's a chance they could be submitted, 3 million of the 6 as part of the Sager system. And if they're
You mean Butterbraid could?
between the two of them,
I never heard that number.
Yeah,
well, that's what Darren showed me.
I
and
don't
then-
think we ever intend that they would pay that much of the total project.
I don't remember what that number was and I don't have it in front of me.
Then we would have to review the 6, 7, 8 million. But
6.5.
6
What
and a
the
half million.
proposal is.
We-
Well, I think the lift station's part of that too.
Yeah,
Right.
and that was coming out of there.
Blake and I think
That's 3/4.
that wouldn't be part of the agreement part
Yeah.
with those two,
Yeah,
That has,
industries.
that has to be done either way. The lift station has to be done
Right,
either way.
and
no
I
matter
think
what.
they were estimating that at 750,000, if I remember right. Andy,
Yeah, he
the
said
cards are right
3/4.
behind you with prices on. Do you wanna just pull that one out that has the cost of the project on it, so we can, because I think it specifically shows the lift station.
Well,
Probably the last one you pick, right?
yeah, I think you're right.
That one is, that one is it.
I'm not even seeing the one.
I think it's the one you have out. Can you just look that one up,
It's on the
Andy?
bottom, 700,000.
Yeah, for the lift station.
Oh, yeah, right there, that's the number we're looking for.
So I know that was gonna come off, and, I think it was only the construction cost of the Sager itself, like the dismantling of things out there or some of that, I thought we were told was not going to be part of the agreements. But I honestly don't remember the total
but
off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
it was,
I don't think it was 50% or
No, no.
anything like that.
no, it was not 50%.
But back to your point, Andy, we decided not to get V&K involved. We were gonna get someone completely neutral. If you wanna bring Tom Cruise and Ben to a council meeting and give their input, wonderful. But Tom Atkinson, sitting next to ISG, we're not getting true information on what someone else can do for us. They're set on the Sager system. There's a lot of other options.
You have a number I
Blake,
can
you
call?
keep saying they're set on the Sager system. They recommended 9 or 10 options to us at the start of this project. We narrowed it down to like 3 because of one reason or another. I can't remember the third one. One was nitrox, one was Sager, and
Covered lagoon.
yeah, is that what it was?
Mhm.
Okay. And the guys went and did some research, went and looked, and originally thought the nitrox was probably the way to go, but then we dug into that a little further, and they use heaters and stuff, and we thought the annual operational cost was gonna be much higher than the Sager. And that council decided on the Sager system. ISG didn't decide on nothing. We directed them on a vote of the council to design that system. So you keep saying they're pushing it, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're acting at the direction of the city council.
Okay?
You
Then
know,
as a
and
city
they
council-
recommended several options for us over the last 6.5 years. And we, last July, voted to go with, have them design that system. So to say that they're pushing that, or that's wrong, you're misleading.
So they're not pushing it. They're looking at helping us out as a city with what they can do for us. At the meeting Wednesday night, I didn't hear much about other options that were solid with them, other than keep pursuing the Sager system.
Because that's what we told them to do.
Yeah.
So then as a city council, after the meeting Wednesday night, do we have some solid other options? And we need an opinion from someone not connected with ISG, cause they're gonna keep doing what they've been doing. And last July, they didn't have all the correct information in front of them. When I showed up in November, the ISG people sat here, were not aware of the fact that we've been operating as a one-cell lagoon for 20 years. Now, everyone knows it's a 100% fact. So, we run it as a true 3-cell. That doesn't involve ISG. I mean, they didn't have that knowledge in front of them. And so, there's no reason they're not gonna keep pursuing what they are.
Well, I guess I think if we give this Tom Atkinson, and I had confidence in him the other night. He worked DNR for 17 years. He teaches how to run lagoons at a college, community college down there. And if I can't have confidence in that man, I mean, I didn't see no reason why I wouldn't. So if we change his direction, that we wanna see the best picture we can of these lagoons, I have a lot of confidence he'll do that for us. I would like, do you have a number for Veenstra? I'd like to call.
Sure.
Just to ask him, because the reason I like to talk to him is because it's interesting to me that the quote that they gave us it's way different than what this Stanley gave us. I mean, thousands of dollars. And I'd like to just see what I never saw a line, the Stanley sent a line sheet what they plan to do, and like I said, it's almost going back from the beginning. We don't need to do that, if you want my opinion, but Stanley's probably not proposing what we're looking for, if we're gonna get a second opinion, So right now, I mean, I'm waiting back from another firm that I haven't heard. They sent me some information, but I haven't got any really numbers, back. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we want to spend that much money with another firm. You're talking 30, 40,000. So you really they want to pretty much start over. I'm talking with another firm that, like I said, I don't think they're coming from the same vein, but I'm not sure. So I'd be interested in talking to somebody from Veenstra just to see what they had planned to do, because I can contrast that now with the other quote I got.
Right.
And I'd be interested in seeing what Veenstra wanted to, what their proposal was, because I really don't know. So if you have a number, I'd be glad to call.
Yes.
Yeah. But I guess I have a lot of confidence that ISG, since I've been aware of them since last November, I've never heard them one time say that they would not work. If we wanna do something different, they would pursue that. The same as anybody else, they would entertain the idea that there are other things to do. But here again, I think they need the direction of the city council, going back to that. If the council meets together and it's decided we want another direction, I've got confidence they'll look for it for us. And I just don't know how much we wanna spend, on another opinion and end up in the same.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
a little bit of my worry, and I don't know that I have enough
data in front of me to know whether this would be the case or not. But a little bit of my worry is that we do this and we get in compliance, and then 3 years down the road, DNR strickens their numbers even more. And now we've waited 3 years, and it was a Band-Aid in a sense for 3 years, and now a $6.5 million project is now a $12 million project, and then what? Because that, I mean, we can't afford that, that's for sure. I'm not saying I'm 100% in favor of doing this right now. I do think we need to explore all of our options, but I don't want to do, a small fix that then causes this to then have to be completely redone again.
Hindsight's a lot better than foresight.
Right. If we only had a crystal ball.
I've done a fair amount of research, the last couple weeks about lagoons, and there's lots of places to look on their operation and this and that, but I would say pretty close to 100% of the firms out there that deal with lagoons, you dig into their analysis, and a lot of them will have that on their website. And they say lagoons, just what we're hearing is lagoons work some of the time. And to meet the effluents that we put out into certain streams, you have to add some kind of a system, whether it's a Sager or a nitrox or whatever on the end of it to treat those items that really lagoons never were intended to take care of, and they talk about nitrates and ammonia, and the other thing they talk about is micronutrients and pathogens and on and on and on from human waste. I mean, there's a lot of information out there if you can digest it all, but it gets a little overwhelming. But most of those firms, if you dig into it, when they're doing their analysis, they're saying you'll get there part of the time, but you won't get there consistently, and you need to add a system like what we're looking at or something similar, and that's what, but I guess I'm willing to go do the valve thing and see if we can write a letter or get, a letter written to the DNR and see what we get back for a reply.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, right now a consensus, I'm absolutely believe we should, give the lagoons a try, give them some cycles and see if we can get the number, and maybe we'll all be surprised, because the letter that he sent me last week, it says right on there, you got a 50% chance.
Yeah.
He told me communities that, that have tried this, and with our stream that we're going into, unless we get to a larger body of water, this is just my opinion, we're probably less than 50. But I've also had these other engineers tell me if you're one of the few that it works out for, you just saved a bundle of money.
Yeah.
So, right now, I really think, we do, I don't think I'm alone but we really need to explore some other things, and, but the key is, now that's DNR, as long as we're working on, have this place, obviously, I would be surprised if ISG doesn't at least slow things down for us, to give us a chance to.
They've kind of already paused design at this point, knowing that we're not 100% in, but.
And to me, that's one of the key things, if they would put a lot of pressure on us,
Right.
which I'm not expecting, we'll probably have time to, let this thing ride a little bit.
So would we have the sewer committee work to get that plan, bring it back to the council to direct from there, or?
Sure, yeah, whatever you.
Yeah, you direct me and I can make a phone call to ISG if you want to set up a meeting, the sewer committee to meet with ISG to kind of go through what you've discussed here tonight, and then formulate a plan to submit to the DNR for us to get an answer back. Will you give us an extension? and allow us
I
to,
think, I think we need to start there
Yeah.
and
Right.
then still explore, you
I mean,
know.
I personally think that's our next step, you know,
Yeah.
you know. Where we go from there, I mean, we'll have to
Right.
get through this step and then see what.
We'll see what the DNR says,
Mhm.
yeah.
Or she-
Or at least
yeah.
get an answer, or get
Yeah.
some information written down.
I do
so-
think we still need, still need to explore the option of a second opinion from
Yeah.
a different firm.
In case we, I mean, I don't.
And
I
you're
don't
working
disagree
on
with that.
getting that, or you're
Yeah.
finding,
But
And
I'd
I-
be very interested in talking to you, if you have a
Yeah.
number for Veenstra.
Yeah.
Right,
I
absolutely.
mean, I wouldn't completely rule them out, I mean, obviously, if I'm just looking at bids, their bid was a lot better than Stanley, by
Yeah.
thousands of dollars. I mean, can they, you know, if they can get us what we're, you know, some numbers,
Right, and
yeah, I'm
not
not
that they're in
opposed.
competition, but he's gonna give you all the information he has, working with the DNR for 18 years, and then we need to compare that to what ISG will do.
Yeah.
From the lagoon standpoint, I realize ISG is involved in a lot of other things, but that's
Yeah.
what we're looking at.
So in the next few weeks, like I said, I'd be very interested in speaking with them. And
Yes.
so that if that's something we feel we wanna entertain, then that would definitely need a vote. If we're gonna, you know, whatever firm we would choose, if we find another one or that one, or, we would definitely need a vote on that.
at
that would
time.
have to be listed on the agenda,
Yeah.
so you can't take action on that tonight.
I think at this point, we just need to schedule a meeting with ISG and tell them
Right.
we wanna submit a new letter to the DNR and
You got
continue to
any-
explore our options.
Any more information on what Bancroft is doing?
I would like to visit with Veenstra, you know, about that subject. Have you heard anything like as far as Bancroft goes?
There was some misunderstanding as to when they were in compliance, and it was actually before they did the work at their lagoon. I talked to the sheriff over there, who is 100% in charge of the lagoon. Since they did that, they're perfect. All their numbers are perfect. So that's what I got from him.
Yeah.
I have an email out to their city
I don't
clerk
think he's,
also.
I think they have an affidavit operator.
yeah, I don't think.
I don't think that gentleman you were talking
What's
to.
an affidavit operator?
Like
Okay,
it's
then
kinda like the
certified or-
city, well, you weren't here, I guess, on the council, but, so when we've had employees leave, we might not have the correct certificate, the employee with the correct certificate to run the water plant or run the sewer. We had an issue here in West Bend, we didn't have the proper certification for water plant. So we hired an affidavit, person to come in, and then they have that license, so they're able to operate it. And I think that's what Bancroft has, that's what I was told they have.
That's what I was told. too.
I
The
did
mayor
not
actually
get
told
that
me up there
from
that's
a
what they do,
Bancroft
Bancroft.
employee though, so.
That's what the mayor over there, cause I saw him this last week and, cause he was not aware that they're having compliance problems. He asked me where I heard that and I said, well, I just asked the question through my telephone and my phone told me, you know, that just in February of 26, they had some compliance issues, so. I'd really like to, you know, visit with Veenstra, like I say, for the, you know, about that subject, plus what they, you know, what their proposal would be for us.
Right, what you're gonna get for 3,800, I mean, look, yeah, gladly give you that information, and that would be a very good second opinion.
Cause it is a contrast to what this other one gives, so,
Mhm.
yeah, so since I've seen that, I've become very interested and like to visit with them. So, yeah. But I definitely would agree that we need to, you know, revisit with ISG and see where they think we're at with things.
I just think it's better to start with the small committee and get
Sure, absolutely.
some ideas, and then
I
go
would
on
agree.
from there. They're not gonna make the final, but I think that's how you get it started anyway.
Okay, so I will contact ISG, we'll get a meeting scheduled with the sewer committee, and the mayor will be attending too, I assume?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I'll-
And, okay, and then, you're going to Andy talk to Veenstra?
Sure, I'll give them a
So-
call. I'm still gonna be in contact with the state too, just sometimes that,
So,
slow learner.
my question is, council, mayor, council, next city council agenda, what do you wanna see put on for discussion? Do you want to have something on, to look at those proposals for the second opinion?
I think
do-
it, sorry, I think a little bit depends on the information we have leading
Right.
up to that. If we
I
have
don't know-
more
I don't-
information
I don't know
about
if I can
second
get there.
opinion.
So can we leave it up to Andy to make that
Yeah.
decision then
Yeah.
of what
When
he
you're
would
ready to
like
go
to?
on
Yep.
to,
That's a lot.
He's been very good about communicating the information he's gotten to us.
Cause
so-
I